what an opening shot. Rising Sun vibes, the 90s movie, not the actual astronomical event. But also the sunrise ties us into the final duel, plus the sound design of John's punch is killer, like a sledgehammer. It's all perfect to reintroduce John since last time we saw him, this happened.
You are now in the presence of the motherfucking king!
It doesn't even really matter what the Bowery King is saying here because Lawrence Fishburne is one of those actors who you can just ask to say badass sounding stuff and it rules.
Yeah.
But nobody says yeah like Keanu. For that matter, John Wick has his own gravelly hold on the word. The John Wick films are still pure art and I love when they lean into that. In a film that's almost too relentless with its action, we just watch an uncut 22-second shot of a sunrise, which again, yeah, has some meaning, but also, yup. But then jumping right into the first action sequence, and it's on horseback. Sure, Zaddy Yaga has used horses before, but this is a full-on Western-style chase through the desert. The captions just say man shouts in Arabic, but I swear I hear a John Wick in there.
My ring, my freedom.
Interesting approach to murk a bunch of fools and then kneel in front of the elder asking for freedom. It's sort of a flex. Yeah, he could just kill you, but he's gonna at least ask for what he wants first so you'll know you could have lived. Well, for a few seconds.
And the only way John Wick will ever have freedom or peace now or ever is in death.
I know.
Obviously, John has known that from day one, and I think he does find peace right before his death. Although one could also say that he needed to take a mortal blow to trick Pennywise, and so while technically found peace before his death, he had to accept death to find peace? Assuming he's actually dead. Okay, we're 5 minutes in and it's a 3-hour movie, gotta get going. And look, obviously not every headshot from John Wick is going to get a brutal, but something about the way the elder flies back, it does. Which means it's time to break out the old brutal counter. Ah, John Wick theme, perfect timing. Hey, nice to see a little consistency in the organization. But it's never been a good sign when the Kurgan shows up, even if he does have a beautiful beard.
Judge, jury, and...
It doesn't need to be said to be understood, and it's almost like saying it aloud would be a jinx.
Today is not the day you will die. Of that I am sure.
Ferryman would have some idea about that.
Ned Kelly's final words as the hangman slipped the noose around his neck were, "Such is life. Such is life." Can you imagine the acceptance, the defiance? This will not be pleasant.
Such is life, sir.
Ah, that was a quick turnaround on the callback and a baller line.
Second chances are the refuge of men who fail.
Spoken like a kid who's never had to try anything hard. Say like working on a French accent.
It has been an honor, my friend.
Sad to see this character go, but sadder that Lance Reddick passed recently in real life.
Should have been me.
But it wasn't. Now you think about why that is, and perhaps one of us will have benefited from this conversation.
So, in the past films, the High Table are the antagonists, but arguably they follow a code of conduct that nobody, including themselves, are free from. But this is the first film of the series where I really start to think that the High Table, like many of the organizations out there, are just run by out-of-touch people in power who have no idea how anything works. Case in point, the Marquis sucks. Seriously, he is the worst. It's not Skarsgård's fault he has a punchable face, but the way he acts is just awful. Who in their right mind would put this guy in charge of ordering lunch, let alone executing this plan of taking out the New York City Continental and killing John Wick? The table clearly doesn't know what they're doing. This is gonna come up again. Also, I'm a huge Bill Skarsgård fan, but way to blow your chance to bring back the Merovingian. What's the win here? It's that huge organizations like this always suck. Pretty apropos wall art, though. Never gonna complain when Chirrut shows up. Or Ip Man, or Yip Man, or Shenzhen, or Dragon, Monkey King, Inspector Ma, or Sergeant Ma Kun, or Shing Ba. I love the little disrespectful moment of Kane throwing his snot on the ground. This dude does not like the table. In a film series that always has cool subtitles, those are some cool subtitles. And just generally that this is the man to at least arguably take John Wick out. I know if John wanted to live and didn't care about killing the Marquis, I think it could have gone differently, but another retired assassin, unassuming, blind, with no love for the table, but something more important than himself to protect. He's the bizarro John Wick. Quick visual exposition to show us what nobody is all about. He wants a $50 million villa, who can't relate?
People will come.
I like the trust from Chad and Derek that their anime-loving audience wouldn't need the apology translated.
Everything he touches dies.
She's not wrong, including himself. Rina Sawayama seems to be right about a lot of things these days.
Please tell my daughter that I look forward to our dinner.
Aw, such a sweet moment, which means at least one of them will die, because this is a John Wick movie that started it all by killing a puppy. Also, Hideyuki Sanada has never looked better. Another man who ages like a well-seasoned cast iron pan. Yeah, that works.
Samurai.
Friendship means little when it's convenient.
Holy crap, that's a line, and Hideyuki Sanada is always a win. I mean, his lines could be pee pee poo poo and he'd still nail it and make me contemplate my life.
お客様のご到着だ。お もてなしの準備。
That might officially be the most badass way to say mount up. Whatever that button is, I want one. Also, I did a whole thing about the color scheme for the first John Wick, and hot diggity is it on fire in Chapter 4. The reds and blues glow, but even the city shots are so vibrant. Neck. Oh, okay. It's like that. I didn't know he was chill like that. Something tells me he'll be a problem for John. Koji's guys really make sure he's safe. 4 arrows in this brosif. Also love the addition to the series, there are plenty of dope fight scenes that actually have no involvement of our boy JW. It feels like a purposeful and successful move to open up the universe more. Also, yeah, it counts. It's always the dang storm ninjas, and I'm very interested by their armor and oni masks. They're clearly samurai inspired, but they work for the high table or maybe specifically the marquis? So are they just hired goons residing in Japan? Either way, they're scary. Oh, that's a dope suit and a dope costume reveal. Plus the implication that she's always ready to rumble. Brutal, the way his head snaps back. Aha, such realistic desperation to this split kick and recovery. It's a real pushing your body to the limits as if your life depended on it because it does vibe. Ha! An actual arrow to the knee. She knows what she's doing. Also a limp swing down hanging from the arrow after getting shot. Brutal. These guys are just taking the bullets in the arms. Master assassin who would rather snack? That's my kind of master assassin. Or should I say master a snackin'? I should. Also, it's clear that Kane doesn't want to be doing this. Yeah, he's better than everyone, but the eating off on the side and the sighing and the all-around grumpy attitude he has isn't because he's bored or needs a challenge or something. He's not Parabellum Zero. He just literally doesn't want to be there. And his choice to not kill when he doesn't need to is also key to his character. Actually, I think we also need a kindness counter on this one. Also, his skills feel so real. Hollywood tends to have blind characters turn on God mode or at best a slightly muted version of Daredevil, so seeing him use his surroundings and tools to his advantage is refreshing. Also, Donnie Yen, you know. There's something so brutal about making him run into it like that. Huh, interesting to focus on that knife. Well, I'm sure that won't come up again later. Also, she's very good with it. John's had a tactical lining in his suit since Chapter 2, and since then, it's like everyone realized he was basically bulletproof, so they all got their own, and the holding your lapel over your face defense has become a staple of this movie. It also really adds to the shot count and how tiring this would be for everyone involved. Both shooting and getting shot. In her defense, he is a meaty boy. Honestly, impressed she used his weight and her momentum against him like this. I'd really just throw an extra 10 brutals on there for all these stabs. Aw, mercy. That guy wasn't quite dead yet.
Don't insult my gift to you.
It's generosity and kindness.
Do me a small courtesy. できるだけ多く殺してってくれ。
Aw, friendship goals. These poor guys didn't know they were coming into John Wick's blue lighting. Mag eject whip. I'm gonna talk about this as we go, and I've actually mentioned it in another video for John Wick. One of the main themes, I guess, in this movie is excess. Mainly excessive effort. The entire movie is too much, it's Sisyphean. And occasionally we get some comedy gold out of it with this guy getting shot like 21 times. Actually, let's bring this fun thing back and count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, gun throw, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, reload, 19, 20, 21. See that? And guessed right on the money with 21 up, 22. Also, let's be serious. I love that John doesn't get all Bruce Lee for this sequence. He uses the nunchakus as bludgeoning weapons that don't need to look pretty. Speaking of Sisyphean, he hits this guy at least 3 times in the same spot. It's so brutal, it's almost funny. Almost. Obviously, I'm not some kind of sick freak who laugh at such violence. Wow, that blood splatter really works nicely on the glass painting. Beautiful. Totally messed up. Also brutal. It's almost like John feels bad about staying quiet here. Almost.
You dead, John?
And Kane almost feels bad that John's dead. Almost.
You a tracker?
So do we think Tracker is its own separate guild in the Wickiverse? High Table Assassins, Bowery King's Army, Trackers? Because yes, tracking is a real skill that one can learn, but the way John says it makes me think he's kind of surprised to meet one, or at least that one is helping him. Really just hoping that Tommy Lee Jones shows up and does the point. What a good boy.
Just tell me where John is.
You know I won't.
You know that's a kindness, also ultimately a self-sacrifice. Also, the sound design again is phenomenal. That echo of the steel. I'm sorry, but even if this film was garbage, it would be worth it just to watch Hiroyuki Sanada and Donnie Yen have a fight scene together. Japan versus Hong Kong. It makes sense for the story that Koji dies, but also we need an Expendables-type team-up movie with them, Michelle Yeoh, Tony Jaa, Iko Uwais, Michael Jai White, Stephen Chow, Zhang Ziyi. Dang, I guess there's some crossover because you need Jason Statham and Wesley Snipes.
Even a blind man knows you've lost.
You don't need eyes to see the right path.
Dang, a burn from death's door.
So, live.
Kane is by far the most likable antagonist in the John Wick movies. Comet's Cassian seemed honorable, and even Zero's fanboy energy made him weirdly likable, but Kane is just a good dude. Will I ever forgive him for killing my dude Hidoyuki? No, I will not, but still, good dude.
I'll be waiting for you.
I feel like that Comet might bite him in the butt later.
Killing a man can turn him into a martyr. Letting him live tells the world he's a coward or a turncoat.
I don't think the Marquis is actually that smart, but this is what happens when everyone around you is that smart. Sword polo, rich people suck.
Bloodshed in Osaka was not necessary.
The bloodshed was the point.
Alright, maybe he's no dummy, it's just the accent. I have to assume Bill is just trying to make us hate the character more. It works! Also, there should be a Saw-like twist reveal in 4 movies that he was actually John Wick's son from the future and had to use the fake accent. I'll let you unpack that one.
I like you.
He does have his moments, and it's clear that Bill had some fun playing the character. Qualifies.
You can pull the knife out, or you can pull your hand out. One shows me a man committed only to himself, and the other, a man committed to the cause.
The Marquis really is the perfect stand-in for the ruling class. He's asking someone to debilitate one of their hands for the cause after already wounding them, all while giving up literally nothing himself in the doofiest suit I've ever seen. Break your backs, workers. Autorise you juste service d'accord. Where's my bottle of Cheval Blanc Saint 1947? Yo, that's badass. Fortitude and whatnot, but that's gonna be a no for me, dog. This is basically Latin for YOLO, or something like we ought to live since we must die, so alright.
Turn his rules and consequences against him. Challenge him to single combat.
Of course this is the thing. I mean, of course. The first of 2 needle drops that I was super stoked about, this one being Ever Now by Gesaffelstein, which sounds German since it is, which would make sense since he's in Berlin, but alas, Mike Levy is French. Which also works. Church do be rough like that sometimes, don't interrupt.
I am Klaus.
John, I am Klaus.
So freaking weird. Like most of us, my first reaction to Klaus was, what? But apparently he is played by legendary Berlin bouncer Sven Marquardt, whose method of allowing people into a club was similar to Seinfeld's Soup Nazi in that if there was anything he didn't like about your style or dress or attitude, you were not allowed in. After all, he is Klaus.
I am Klaus.
And I wonder what kind of life-threatening situation it takes to get a "We Are Klaus" out of him. Ha! The holes in his wall letting in those light beams put him on a throne.
Yeah, I'm one bullet away from being a very rich man.
Aw, confidence. Unearned and misguided confidence, but still confidence. Fan blades are curved like katanas. Remember in Chapter 2 when Santino named a bunch of stuff John could kill him with? Fun confirmation. And of course, the ultimate paper cut is brutal. Honestly, after all the armor and bulletproof suits, I love to see John be able to do his thing. 2 in the chest, 1 in the head. Blind burn. Dang it, the water scattering, the different color lighting, the slight slow motion, the mist, the fire, what is the set design? This definitely lends credence to the theory that these movies are set in an alternate universe. Gotta respect the partiers for just carrying on. She even saw this dude die and went back to dancing. Aha, neck cape, Edna knew.
No capes!
It was legit at this point that I looked up who was playing Killa because I did not recognize his face under the prosthetics, but his kicks, those felt familiar. And it all checks out now why Scott Adkins would sit down with and cheat to assassins. And honestly, props for going for it. I also love how they played it up like he was just a boss, not a fighter, making this reveal even more fun. 28-second wonder of John slowly getting up. Keanu and Wick are both getting old, and he just took a hard fall. It's gonna take a bit for him to get up, and it looks dope. Yup. Yup. Yikes. Personally, I'd pick a less common word than nuts, but point for training the dog so well. I mean, you gotta respect the dancer's commitment to their craft. Solid clothesline. Oh, not cool. I mean, smart and brutal, but not cool. Also brutal. That sound is something. Can a sound get a video demonetized?
Hell of a thing for them to take your eyes, though.
They didn't take them. I gave them.
Welp, Kane is a G. Ah, you got off easy. Kane, no, not this one. This one had to carry the Iron Cauldron while it branded him. Amazing shot. Imagine being able to shoot in the Louvre. You'd take your time too.
A man of Mr. Wick's station cannot issue such a challenge.
Love the pause on station. Really sells the condescension.
Such is life.
Ah, he said the thing.
Time.
Sunrise.
Now.
Why waste any time? Also, solid way of making decisions, even if I'd be pretty convinced the table rigged it.
Blades.
It's also clear that the Marquis is choosing knowing that he's going to make Kane proxy for him. Fun fact about this film, the final fight has been set up and there is still an hour left of the movie. Stahelski going hard with it. It's a marathon, not a sprint ethos.
A nomination. Kane.
Won't do it.
That delivery is so perfect. Deja vu, where's Ramachandra?
A wicked man from the Big Apple is making a beeline to your sacred heart.
The alternate universe theory is fun, but it's also fun to think that this type of stuff is going on under all our noses. A bunch of tatted up phone operators on the top of the Eiffel Tower doing coded radio shows about who to kill?
Hit goes out to you, Mr. Wick.
Okay, not that coded. If you cut across into a bullet, it guarantees that round will burst apart in fragments or even explode when it hits something. Don't do it, it's super illegal and really dangerous. And I definitely first learned about this in Taxi Driver and not at all from the 1988 family film The Bear that made me sob until I couldn't breathe anymore. See, the thing about cool ammo like this is that you're all but guaranteeing John Wick is going to use it on you, and that's a win for us.
WUXIA.
Ha, whoosha. Martial Heroes, good name for the station.
9mm pit viper.
How'd you get this?
I know a guy who knows a guy who shot a guy.
Ha, honesty. Also, fun fact, this is actually the Terran Tactical Innovations John Wick 4 Pit Viper because it was made specifically for this film. It retails for around $8 grand, which is kind of ironic considering John could smoke everyone with a Phoenix HB-22A and doesn't need fancy-ass guns. But hey, Tommy Lee Jones fought Benicio with a flint-knapped rock and they still tried to sell a tracker knife to everyone for a few grand.
When I was burying Sherrod, I was torn about what to put on his gravestone.
What did you decide?
Friend.
It's true.
Loving husband. That's what I want on mine. John. Loving husband.
It's an interesting response to Winston's story because he said that Sharon was a friend above all else. Both things define the deceased by their relationship to other people. John's is special because his time as a loving husband was so short compared to the things he's really known for. Ha! Painted black in French, didn't see that coming. What was I saying about Sisyphean? You know it's coming, and somehow it's even more brutal than you're expecting. That sound is everything. Was nervous we weren't going to get any John Wick stunt car driver moments. Very happy to have worried in vain. Because it's everything I want. No, seriously, the way these guys all get out of the car is right out of a video game, and then John does multiple drift circles around them all to kill him.
Who's gonna be our big winner?
Love Gesaffelstein's pumping bass line as the next phase of this fight begins. Also, what a great concept for a set piece. If your film is set in Paris, having a car chase at the Arc de Triomphe is a no-brainer. But having a fight/shootout in the traffic circle as cars are flying by, this is why we're here. Bye-bye, Bones. Agent Smith. Are you shooting the guys in midair after getting wrecked by cars? These movies have done so much to make me think I'll be totally fine after getting hit by a car, and that's probably not a good thing. Such a badass move. Saving your meal ticket and some more kindness. Hell yeah, you good boy. Okay, that is such a badass move. Classic horror movie moment. Easily could have been the Nun or a Deadite, but it's a good boy. What? Backpack that doubles as body armor? Nobody is quickly moving up the list of my favorite Wickiverse secondary characters. What did I tell you? And he takes the first one that shot at him. Oh boy, we've been waiting for this sequence. 2 insanely fun and creative long takes. The first 1:45 long, the second 33 seconds, both bananas amounts of time for no cuts. From the time John rounds the corner with Castlevania's Shots Fired playing, it's one continuous take where the camera was set on a path and all of the actors, yes, it's Keanu the entire time, and stunt performers had to hit their marks, all while making it look real and sometimes even play dead while on fire or otherwise ruin the take and have to start all over. And while the muzzle flashes of the Dragon's Breath are visual effects, the ammo they're representing is very real. It's an incendiary shotgun round, and I just found out it's actually legal in Connecticut, so yes, now I have plans this weekend. And really, let's just throw a few more up on the brutal counter for all the Dragon's Breath kills. Also, it's pure Hotline Miami top-down excitement, or if you ask Stahelski, the Hong Kong Massacre, but either way, it's another video game sequence. But it's not just a cool aesthetic, it allows us to see the action with a totally different experience, one that only we're having. This guy is running around on fire, and we see him leave the scene and then come back in to get shot again. It also really amplifies the explosive visuals of the Dragon's Breath rounds and gives a feeling of velocity to the gunfire with these papers flying off the desk. Ouch. Add falling like 15 to 20 feet with 185 pounds on top of you to that list about getting hit by cars. Yes, yup. This is why John Wick is a good guy. I mean, of course he's gonna save the dog. Even in a classic story sense, he literally saved the cat, but also he saved nobody from going down the grief rabbit hole he's already been down. He also knows that the pup is just being a good boy and doing what their human says. And finally, he saved the audience from seeing another fluffy boy get killed. Keanu Reeves is always a win. Also, the doggo had saved John, which was definitely a kindness. Wow, yeah, I spoke too soon on my fall list, because that's more like 30 feet.
Climb those 222 steps.
John realized how many steps right as she was saying it. And my first thought was, dang, would suck to have to duel after walking up 222 stairs in 8 minutes. You'd be so tired. Oh, right, this is a John Wick movie. Walking was never an option. And now my second needle drop. You know it from the T-Mobile commercial, or maybe it was for a car? Whatever, just like Nick Drake's Pink Moon from that Roads and Moon commercial. Obviously, it very much worked. Genesis by Justice is a jam and perfectly fits with the balls-to-the-wall insanity of the set piece. Also gotta give Wick resourcefulness props for using the stairs as a weapon. These shots looking down the stairs do a great job of setting up just how high the stairs go, which might come up in a bit, but even without that, you know your dude's quads are burning. He's really making sure that guy's dead. Plus the knife throw with some anti-stormtrooper aim. I love how he always throws the gun when he's out. It always looks like exasperation more than anything else, but it works. I'm finally realizing 4 movies in that the thing John Wick really has that makes him special is stamina. He just never quits. Oh, this moment where we all go, no, don't lose all that ground. Oh, good catch. I can breathe. Well done, John. A 15-second wonder of a dude falling down stairs. Legit, this might be the most depressing thing in any of these movies, and yes, I'm including that. And of course, breaking every bone in your body would be pretty brutal. OMG, I spoke too soon. This scene exemplifies how relentless these movies are perfectly. There's just an overall feeling of, good lord, how long is this gonna go on? And I don't mean that in a bad way. The movie feels relentless and never ending, which is exactly how it feels for John. Some might say Sisyphean.
What time is sunrise?
2, maybe 3 minutes.
Wowzers, it has been 5 minutes to the second since John looked at his watch, and it was 5:55, sunrise is at 6:03. It's like they gave him room in his lines for the edit to be off, but they just decided to nail it instead.
12 or 9.
Hell yes, you love to see it. These two super assassins with a simple shorthand working together after being on opposite sides all movie. Teamwork. The pistol jammed, so he took the slide off to use it as a throwing weapon, and then the frame is a stabbing weapon. There's just a certain number of stabs from the frame of a gun before it becomes excessively brutal. How many is that? Who could say? Love how John pulls up his coat, but the goon doesn't shoot. Makes it feel slightly less choreographed, giving him literal puppy dog eyes. And again, John's little guardian angel. Ha! Kane is good with pencils too. Must be why he took it earlier. Didn't want to be shown up by the legend of John.
You hit my puppy.
Comeuppance.
You know you owe me. Yeah.
What's a little casual hand stab between friends making you use your non-dominant hand for a life and death duel?
You seek the truth and will endure the consequences.
Consequences.
Gonna need to start saying consequences before we drink now. It never gets old. The opening on horseback, the Morricone-style music, the ending in a duel, classic spaghetti western all the way. Stabbing John's dominant hand did offer some fun mirror symmetry, though.
Remember your daughter.
Perfect delivery again, no notes.
Last words, Winston?
Just have fun out there.
This guy gets it. It's not all about winning or losing if you enjoy yourself. They're getting dusted? Oh no, it's just more cool captions. Now is when we start to ask ourselves if John has a plan, and if he does, is Kane in on it? Because yes, John has been through a lot, but does he miss?
Nice.
Compliments.
Just kill him.
But also the implication that Winston knows John hasn't been going for the kill shot. Oof, the side view with the blood spray behind John.
Fools.
You arrogant asshole. He didn't shoot.
Consequences.
Got him. Have to love that Winston distracted him. Teamwork. Also consequences. I mean, comeuppance.
Your obligation to the table is satisfied, John Wick. You are free.
Honestly, feels good to hear whether he's dead or alive.
Fully reinstated, Mr. Manager.
The Marquis called Winston Mr. Manager, and I just thought it was a goofy language thing, but now the native English speaker said it, and if that doesn't make Winston George Michael Bluth, I don't know what does.
I'm Mr. Manager.
And you have to love that they're just ignoring the Marquis' body.
Will you take me home?
Of course.
There's ambiguity and unspoken words here, but I think Winston knows that John is asking him to take his body home and bury him with his wife. Couldn't be more poetic that she's the last thing he thinks about in his last words. I didn't think this moment would ever actually happen. Whether he's in John Wick 5 or not, this still hits pretty hard after all he's been through. Aw, they did the thing he asked for. Friendship.
Das Vidania, my son.
Oh man, they're really gonna do that to us? If you can't tell, Winston's tattoo is the sign of the Ruska Roma, the group that raised John as an orphan and shaped him into being an assassin. But then the farewell my son in Russian? Is Winston his bio dad? Are they just throwing us a curveball? No idea. But I love it, the lore never stops. This song is a little hint to her fans that maybe her story isn't over, because she's singing it. Father and daughter finally get reunited, everything's happy. This is where they focus on the episode. Jonathan Wickford IV, The Final Bellum. It's got insane fight set pieces, it's got yaz, it's got bangy bang stabby stabs. In other words, it is everything we want and expect in a Jack Wick movie. Maybe too much? Look, it's long, it's probably way too long. And as I hinted, that might be intentional to add to the relentless Sisyphean vibe of the whole thing. But while that is an interesting plot flourish, you don't want your action movie to drag. I get it, you're potentially killing off your main character, you want all the juice you can squeeze. But instead of a 3-act structure, this almost feels like there are 3 separate films in here. My feeling is that not enough time was spent in Osaka, and way too much time was spent with the Marquis talking about whatever he was ever talking about. We didn't need most of the side characters, and they seem to expand the lore exponentially every film instead of just building on the sizable amount they already have. I will say one thing, and it happens often with movies, but the more I watch this movie and spend time with each set piece, I see the reasons that no fat was trimmed, and I really learn to love each new sequence. No one wants to kill their darlings, and maybe it was okay this time? Maybe. Being able to say it gets better with each viewing is always a compliment. And all that said, it's fun. It still checks all the boxes. Everyone who isn't Keanu does their job well. The Donnie Yen and Hiroyuki Sanada fight is a dream come to life. Yen's humor and timing was a nice surprise. He had some of my favorite lines in the film. I imagine his Chinese audience was already aware of how funny he is. Ian McShane continues to make the role interesting. Winston kind of redeemed himself, even if in the end he's just a corporate bootlicking stooge, but I'm happy he got this continued role. And Shamir Anderson was also a highlight as Nobody, a character I definitely wouldn't mind showing up in spin-offs and possible sequels. But no one does it better than Baby Daddy Yaga himself, Keanu. Hollywood's nicest dude. What a fascinating career this man has had. When John Wick came out, no one knew what to expect, and now it is arguably his most recognizable role. Yeah, I said it. We all love Neo, but it's John Shooty Guns Wickerton who most will remember him by. The hair gets longer, the salt and pepper gets saltier, but Jardani Jovanovic never lets us down. Some have pointed out that Keanu is clearly slower in this film, and they're not wrong. If you've been paying attention, he's actually been slow from day one after his spine injury in The Matrix, like I said in my John Wick 3 video. The first time I really noticed it was Man of Tai Chi. But there's an aggression to the slowness that I think really works for him. He kind of comes off like an old or wounded animal. He ain't fast, so he's gonna take hits, but you 100% regret messing with him. His slams seem more slammy, his headshots more headshotty. He did exactly what he wanted, exactly how he wanted. And I think it's really nice when an actor finds their place in the zeitgeist. It doesn't mean you can't dip your toe into the rom-coms or the art films or whatever, but there is something comforting in knowing that if aliens show up and say, immediately hand over 4 films of stylized gun-forward action starring a likable, albeit introverted and complicated lead man who looks unbearably amazing in a suit and somehow seems to get more handsome with age or will blow up the planet, the Earth is gonna be just fine. So thanks for saving all of humanity, Keanu. Next week is gonna be something totally different in honor of the Women's World Cup. It's not a movie, and it's not an everything great about, but it's something, and I hope you like it. So that's the end of the video proper if you want to skip to the award if more personal stuff doesn't interest you, but just as an explanation for the video next week, it's about Ted Lasso. And lately I've been feeling the pressure to diversify with the content. You may or may not have noticed, but the other channel that does this format of content is struggling a bit, and I felt it as well. My back catalog views seem to have been turned off like a spigot, and new ones can be hit or miss, so in an effort to keep on trucking, I'm gonna try some new stuff on here. I've thought about starting a second channel so I don't upset my core fans, y'all. That feels daunting, and also, I think it's stuff you'll be interested in. I assume it's only my core fans still here, so I'm talking to you. So let me know if it isn't, at least give me a shot. But I've tried new stuff on Nebula, and that works well, and I'm gonna keep doing that. That's still a great way, maybe the best way to support me. It's just that they pay me to take risks on stuff, and so occasionally I want to see if some new stuff will get traction on here as well. Oops, knocked a cup over. I love this job, and I want to keep doing it. I want to keep bringing y'all joy and celebrating the things you love about movies. It can just be hard to put the same amount of work into a video that I always do, like Creed 3, and have it pretty much bomb. Partially because I published at a terrible time, but also it's just like that sometimes. And with 2 kids and a wife wanting my time, it's easy to say, Daddy has to work, when I know it's building a future for them, but when all that work goes into something that might not be what everyone wants anymore, I think you get me. So that's my long, drawn-out diatribe. Hopefully just new and exciting stuff while still delivering that boost of joy you've all come to expect. Just to be clear, I don't plan on stopping the Everything Great About videos. I'm just gonna try to sprinkle in some different stuff here and there. So thanks for listening. Thank you for your continued support. It's something everybody always says, but I literally wouldn't be here without you. I couldn't do this without you, so thank you.